And welcome back to Sullivan's Unheard Voices. I'm here with Andrea from Phame. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I wanted to start the conversation because I've watched some videos of the shows that you have put on. And wow, like talk about like top level tier 1 productions of an organization like yours. That's amazing. How did you get involved with Phame?
Well, I found them as a nonprofit organization, I was thinking, wow, this is this artistic school for people that have disabilities and stuff. So I thought, I'm going to apply for a job there. So they had a job opening, applied. And when I walked in, they were like, well, what's going on with you? And I was like, well, I just had brain surgery, I had a brain tumor, and I stayed in the hospital for 50 days. And then I stayed another 10 days in a trauma unit. And I just had to, relearn how to walk and talk and go through, physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech and language therapy, like all from having brain surgery and a stroke, that I had to relearn how to talk and everything. So when they saw me, when I had applied for that job, they could see that there was a difference in from my resume to actually like the way that I was actually there in person. And they're like, have you ever wanted to perform? And I was like, oh yeah, I perform. I was like, I have a background. So I just started singing for them, and they were like, oh, I had my interview, and then they were like, well, we want you to interview for something else.
Oh,
So I was like, okay. So they had me his name was Matthew Gailey. He used to work with Phame, but he came down and he was over the rock ensemble and what they were coming with iPad ensemble, and he was like, do you know anything about it? And so I just sang a little bit of something. I sang I Will Survive, and then I sang Fancy by Reba McEntire, and then I was like, well, let me just put some Charlie Puth up in there. And he was just like, wow, you just know all this stuff. And then I was like, well, yeah, but I love jazz. And he was like, you sing jazz? And I was like, yeah. I was like, well, I play jazz. And he was just like, what the crap? So they ended up just asking me if I wanted to be in, or if I considered like, joining their program, And so I was like, well, I'll come and check it out. So I came, and I've been in it ever since. So it was 5 years ago.
And it's such a unique organization in the way that it's structured and the way that it's built. I mean, like I talk ad nauseum at this podcast about acceptance and what acceptance could look like. And really, you can point to Phame and like, that's what acceptance can look like.
Yeah, definitely. Most definitely. Phame is definitely different because, I mean, I went from being like a person that I didn't grow up with a disability, and then I ended up having brain surgery, and then I ended up getting, not only like short-term memory loss. I got, not only that, I got blindness because they had to cut it off my optic nerves. And then I had a stroke. Like I had all of that happen in 30 days. So then I had to relearn how to walk and talk and everything, and like, going from being an artist and then going colorblind, because I went colorblind. Like I lost all these aspects of writing and reading and stuff. I have a degree in English and philosophy, and like all the stuff is like about reading. And I went, to being blind, and like speaking, like public speaking. That's another thing I went to college on, was public speaking, like in 4-H and in public speaking with Future Business Leaders of America, and like everything. I'd lost all that. So like, when I went to apply to the job at Phame, it was because I wanted to help students that never got that opportunity. So like I had always been a teacher. That's another thing. I was a teacher. So, coming to that program, all I was thinking about was being a teacher, not actually being in a program that I technically didn't see myself fitting with, because I didn't grow up in as a special needs person. Like I didn't grow up, but I always worked with it. I had
Yeah.
worked as a special needs teacher, like with my autistic students.
Mhm.
I did Asperger's and autism. Like I had actually did that in college. And so like that was another reason why I even went to Phame too. I was like, yes, it was gonna be like, a good thing. But I didn't think that I was actually gonna be in it. Like it was not anything I had relayed in
Yeah.
that aspect, not and not in a negative manner. It was just like I never put myself in the thoughts like, "Oh, look, you're experiencing things that other people have experienced, and it's the same stuff. Like you have the same things as other people, and I could totally relate. And like relating, that was even a better thing for me after my background. Like it had been to the side. Now I totally understood, and it made a big difference in thinking, wow, you never even noticed that they didn't let people who had, mental disabilities or physical disabilities, what they grow up with, that they didn't even let them do artistic things. They kept them aside from everyone else and just made them do things like go outside and play, especially for where I'm at in the South. That's all they let them do. They just played. They didn't really get to learn anything. They didn't get to go out and experience stuff. They didn't even let them be in the band, So like you just didn't see things like that. But Phame pointed that out to me, like, wow, it you wouldn't even know that they're not getting that opportunity, like they let them, go to art, but they only gave them papers,
Yeah.
like little papers out of books and stuff. They didn't like teach them how to draw or encourage to just say
It's
draw, like
it's all about, it's almost like if you have a disability, you're treated like an infant your entire life.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
And it's one of those odd experiences. Like I didn't used to experience that until I was vocal about my autism diagnosis. Like when I kept that hidden, I was never infantilized. The moment I disclose autism, more often than not, that's the default. All of a sudden, I'm turned into this child who can't help
Hmm.
myself. And I'm like, that does no one any good. And I would argue, and correct me if I'm wrong, the theater and arts are the most welcoming environment for people with disabilities.
Disabilities, yeah.
And so just by excluding them from those kind of activities, excludes them from the opportunity just to be a part of a community.
I, I mean,
So much, so huge.
so huge. And like the way that I had first learned about that, it was funny, it was Peanuts.
Yeah.
Because I always saw Linus as being the one that was the one that was so different. I mean, he
Yeah.
carried that blanket. I was like, he carrying that blanket around too long, is what I always said about mom. And I always said it about Charlie too, because Charlie could never kick that fucking ball.
Yeah.
Excuse me, it was in
Oh.
the ball. He couldn't kick that ball, but he kept trying, but he knew he wasn't good at it. He knew he wasn't good enough for it, but he kept trying. But he knew he wasn't supposed to, like, and it was just like, that those things about the Peanuts is they were also teaching you about psychology,
Yeah.
because that's what they were talking about. Like everyone had these differences because there were different things going on in their brains. And I always thought that was very interesting when I was like with Peanuts and stuff. I mean, you had a darn dog that was there to be someone's support animal. Literally, he was a support animal for Charlie Brown.
And
Yeah.
the support dog had a support bird.
Yeah, those
Like,
Woodstock. So I
yeah.
guess they were just smoking lots of weed. Probably what they were doing. They were just smoking a lot of green. But I mean, I saw those things like like in cartoons. That was one of the things I grew up with. I guess me myself having not even knowing that I had ADHD, but that was one of the things I could concentrate on. Was those things that I
Yeah.
loved, that I saw my connection to, and it was usually the dogs, the animals, and stuff that I saw there. That was my biggest thing because I'm the only child, so like it was always trying to find some kind of connection to something, even though I know I intellectually had a connection to academics. Yes. I
Yeah.
mean, before I even went to kindergarten, I had already read a whole encyclopedia, like selection before kindergarten. So, I mean, I like was all about that, like I was all about that, but I knew there was something different wrong with me. I didn't learn about it until even after I was 30 years old and
Yeah.
had brain surgery, when I actually found out about like the stuff that had been going on in my body my whole life, and I mean, I guess they just don't do it for everybody. They don't check everybody for everything. Like they should have found out about me and the things that I got diagnosed with or re-diagnosed with or actually finally diagnosed with, at age of 30, but it was after I had brain surgery.
Right.
Like they should have known this stuff beforehand.
And if the doctors in your life would have been proactive instead of reactive, they probably could have.
No, they definitely could. I mean, and there's so many times when I was growing up that we told like I had headaches, but they just gave me too much medicine. And instead of like actually like looking to figure out what it was, they said it was because of my stress from being a high potential individual and a mentor, like a student that is very in the honors programs and just on a higher level. So all of that stress is what was wrong with her, instead of actually finding out, oh, well, she's epileptic. So that's one of the biggest stresses. Like she has things going on in her body that she can't control. Oh, she's also bipolar. That is why she feels these weird ways, is because she doesn't have any interactions with people. So she hasn't built these things together, and her interactions are with herself and
Yeah.
her imagination. So, they always just told me that I was just such a great imaginative person. And what did they do to me? They put me in plays. My first plays was I was Tidlick, which was a frog. It's an Australian play about a frog that meets he meets the platypus.
That's awesome.
So he is a frog and he wants everyone to come together as the different creatures being different. And the platypus, has eggs.
Yeah.
And so and it also, is part snake, platypus are. So it's like, so all this differences, and mine was just showing it, the acceptance of it. But I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
They just did that because they said they just saw that I wanted to express myself. But they didn't understand those things that I had going on. And the reason why I enjoyed expressing myself is because I didn't feel like anyone understood me. And they didn't. They didn't know. Those things that I was having go wrong with my brain was a tumor that was growing in my head from age 3 until I was 30 years old. So, I mean,
And if they had bothered just to do the tests.
just to do the test, and we complained about like my headaches for years.
Yeah.
Years and years and years. And they would just give me, they just gave me Tylenol with codeine when I was 11 years old. And I'm thinking, what 11-year-old
Codeine at
needs
11?
11?
Wow.
Didn't give me anything else. Like, gave me that. And then they gave me muscle relaxers. So my mom was just like, and I was the kind of child that was I'm highly intelligent. I was like, I'm not going to take those. So I just didn't take them. I just dealt with the pain pretty much like until I got to college. And then of course, they gave me more medication, but still, and when I got to college, that's when they realized that I was bipolar. So that actually helped because that medication like kind of took away some of the the headaches and stuff, but it didn't take away everything because they hadn't diagnosed all the other things that they should have been looking for that were all tying together that had to do with the disability that I had myself.
And in my experience with chronic pain, once you've been to the doctor to complain about pain a couple of times, they stop taking you seriously.
Oh yeah, no, they totally throw you off.
Turn off. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. And I wish your story was not unique. Sorry. I wish your story was not as common as it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So many people who get mistreated by doctors because of their situation. I wish it was an isolated incident, but it happens all the time.
They kind of wrote me off because they said that it was me being on my intellectual prowess. So like she's so creative, she's creating that.
Like that makes no sense.
Well, but it's really funny because they would always say she's just writing plays, which I did start writing plays when I was that young. Yes. Yeah. But it was because I was trying to explain what was going on inside of me.
Yeah.
Like literally that's what I did. Like, and they thought it was, they always said she's so creative that that's all they concentrated on, which was great. Yeah. It did encourage me. It totally encouraged me. but it also was a setback too, because all I sought out for was that encouragement always.
Yeah.
And when it wasn't there is when I was breaking more and more. And I didn't find out until I went to college that I was even bipolar. So that whole time I was growing up, I was having a hard time, like completely, because I didn't understand any of my emotions in any way whatsoever. They seemed just, I don't know, it just never, everyone always used to call me happy and say that I was happy and jovial.
Yeah.
And I did always make people laugh, but I think it was never, I don't think I ever felt happy. And it wasn't until I got to college that I actually understood that it was true. I didn't feel happy.
Yeah.
I didn't know that I was depressed. I didn't know what depression was because my mom didn't actually believe in depression because she was super Christian. So it's not that she didn't believe in it. It was just that she used, her Christianity as her,
Yeah.
her vice, like the thing that helped her. For me, being a reader, I'd read so many different things. I was on so many different levels. I was like, I don't know what can help whatever's going on inside of me. And that's where I just would imagine outside, something
Yeah.
like I'm in this land, and whenever people would ask me, Andrea, the way you see things are so different. I'd always say, yeah, everything looks like a cartoon. It looks so just inclusive of so much more.
Yeah.
And that was the only thing that helped me like feel better, and like move forward with things. And it worked. And I still to this day, I mean, I still use it. I mean, it's worked my whole life. I mean, it's the only thing that keeps me going is just looking at things like in a creative manner.
Medium cheese pizza ready for Sean.
We hear you. We'll pick it up later.
But yeah, so I mean, I've just learned a lot of like things like over the years. I mean, I'm 38 now.
Yeah.
And I mean, I turned 30 and I had to relearn everything.
I
So,
always thought I was born on the wrong planet.
oh, I definitely was born on the wrong planet.
Yeah, like I was always until my autism diagnosis, I was always misunderstood,
Oh yeah.
and I never quite figured out why I couldn't fit in. I never quite could figure out why I was always having these difficulties. And when you have that epiphany of that moment of like, oh, I finally understand who I am, like your whole world sort of shifts.
Yeah. It definitely, for me, my problem wasn't that I fit in. It was like I fit in so well,
Yeah.
but it was because I was different. So all the people where I was from, like they loved me, they liked me, they were interested in me because I was weird. And where I was from, weird was a good thing
I'm jealous.
in certain manners. Like, so like if you were weird, if it was something that was like quirky weird that other people could also like come in, and have like a meeting with it, and like, you come together as a group. That's what mine was. I think it's because they liked doing the things that I did. So like
Yeah.
like I would always like I was in all the clubs, and I learned that at the beginning, like just go and like learn about all of these things,
Yeah.
and then find a way to bring all the people together, because that's the only way that you're going to be able to fit in with everybody, is to bring everybody together in some way. So I guess like to me it was good and bad, because I still was trying to figure myself out, because I knew it involved like so many different things,
Yeah.
so that's why I loved meeting different people, different places, from like different parts of the world,
Pizza ready
different
for
to same.
Sean.
Um,
Give me 1 second. We'll pick it up when we're done with the recording.
yeah. I forgot what I was saying. I get like taken aback. Since I had brain surgery,
Yeah.
like short term memory loss, that junk sucks.
So let me ask you this, because as we were walking in here, you talked about how many instruments that you play.
Mm-hmm.
When did you pick up your first instrument?
When my mom gave me the harmonica, I think I was
You started on the
three,
harmonica?
three.
Oh, that's awesome. What was your next one?
The recorder.
Okay.
And then harmonica recorder, and then saxophone. Oh, nope. Harmonica recorder, keyboard, light up Casio keyboard when I was 10. I
Okay.
taught myself how to play that with the lights. And first song I taught myself was the Wedding March.
Oh, wow.
To this day, I still like, if I ever go, that's how I tell myself that I still know how to play the piano. Is that like, even though I just go back and I just like know that there's a C and a C, so you just do it that way. But yeah, I started playing saxophone because of Bill Clinton on the Arsenio Hall show when I think it was 6 when he was on there.
Yeah.
It was right before he became president. So yeah. So then after I started playing in marching band when I was in 6th grade.
Okay.
So I was 11, and from 11 all the way to college, I played the saxophone, and I played the bass clarinet, and I played the bassoon, and I played the keyboard mostly, but then I was also in color guard.
Okay.
So I was color guard captain, and so I did that. And that's how,
Right.
I just like to do things. So I mean, I just really interacted a lot. Did color guard, played saxophone, and then I played soccer. I mean, I was in the marching band. I did 4-H. So I competed in all the 4-H events and
All the while with a brain tumor growing
growing the whole time.
the whole time.
And I was like number 10 in my class. And I, even in college, was top in my class and everything. And
Yeah.
was in so much pain. I mean, those headaches, those migraines I had,
I can't even imagine.
like, it was crazy. Like, I grew up with them and like dealt with it my whole time. Like, my mom, she tried to deal with it. She was a single parent, and my grandma was there too. But my grandma, she was dealing with like her own like health issues, and she really saw that pain that I was in. She saw it, and she always highlighted it. But she kind of made it I don't know. She kind of made me, I don't know.
Yeah.
She treated me like she would let me be late for school and stuff because I was just having such a hard time waking up from headaches. And then even the school though, like because
Yeah.
I was made such good grades, and I always strive to be the president of every club. I was the president of every club, which is funny.
I love
I
that.
started everything. I started the National Honor Society. I started the Future Business Leaders of America. I started the DECA. I started the FICA. Like I did all that stuff, but it was just because I wanted stuff for other people to be able to do, to find
Yeah.
something that they wanted to fit into. But it was really funny because they were like, she just wanted to do that because she was bored. Seriously, I was like, yeah, I am. I don't want to be bored. And that's still to this day. That's how I feel. Like I don't want to be bored. And that's what Phame was. I guess that's why I accepted it. Is because I was learning more stuff.
Yeah.
I was learning more about I knew things about people that had Down syndrome, but I learned more, being in a class with someone that had Down syndrome that they were learning those things for the first time. I was reintroducing myself to those things that I had already had my whole life,
Right.
that I had grown up with. I was just reintroducing myself to it so I could go into a different level to me, which was learning. And it was learning from everyone. See, a lot of people don't even see that. They wouldn't think that they could learn from someone that had a disability that is teaching them something else about their own life. Like, come on, this is an amazing thing. Look at how this person is interacting with this, and they're surpassing you, and you can acknowledge that. But a lot of people don't.
No.
So, like, and I guess being with Phame, I noticed that too. That a lot of people, they love watching the people in Phame, but you have to me, I've found that you can see the difference when the way that the people accept
Oh,
it.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Um, and it's interesting because people tend to, when they see something they don't understand, instead of just acting normal and acting like nothing is going on and just being and existing,
Yeah.
they alter their behavior, which
Yeah.
ultimately makes it worse. You just
It's-
keep doing you and include people with you doing you and be kind. And that should just be the entry level.
Right.
That should be the entry level. And one of the things that has inspired me most about Phame in particular is that you know when you walk in that door, you're going to be accepted.
Yep.
And talk about a sigh of relief when you're finally in that space where, like, I can be my authentic self here without people judging me for being my, like, it's a game changer.
It's definitely gives you so much opportunity if you accept yourself. That's the thing about Phame is like you get to accept the way you are.
Yeah.
And know that just because of the way that you are doesn't mean that you don't have something that is not exquisite and great and amazing that you can, if you want to. If you don't want to, it's fine too. But if you want to show something off and you've got it, hey,
Yeah.
just put yourself there. And that's what's great about it, like, after like starting, I started and like they asked me, they were like, what do you want to do? I was like, well, if you want me to perform, I'd like to be a soloist. I'm pretty much a soloist. That's like what I've always done. I've always been the soloist. And they were like, oh, there you are. So like that's what I started out there. Like I started Phame. It's like literally I just started like, remember the first song was Come Together. So I was like,
Do you remember your first performance?
yeah, it was I sang Come Together by
How many people were in
Beatles.
attendance? Do you know?
That the first well the first one I did was the gala. So I mean there were hundreds of people there because that was the big huge gala. It was at the Hilton.
Yeah.
So I mean there's tons of people there. That was the first song I sang was Come Together, but that other one, and then I sang I Will Survive. But I mean, there was hundreds of people because I mean, it was huge. I mean, that was the big gala, so that was how they got the most of their money, like for the
Yeah.
year. And then the next one was the Fantastic, like Famous and Get Famous, and that was amazing because I got to sing with people I had never even met them, but I was singing with them, and so they were like just singing around. So I mean, it was very interesting because I was singing with people. I was like, I don't even know who you are, but I'm singing with you. But you sound amazing. Like it was just different because I was like, I never knew anyone wanted to sing.
Yeah.
Like they were in special. Like I was thinking at school, none of my friends, because I did have friends that were in special education, and special needs. They never said anything about singing. I didn't know they wanted to sing. They never really ever did any of that, So when I came into Phame, seeing a school like that, I was like, wow, these, it's great. And I thought, this would do great in the South. And that's my plan, hopefully, to be able to take Phame to Georgia because I think it would work really well there. But it was just, being
That's
able
awesome.
to put yourself in a situation where you're learning more, especially like learning more about things that you wouldn't even think that you needed to learn on that aspect. But for me, it's learning more that like I was putting myself in classes where I already knew things, where I was reshaping my understanding because of the loss of things.
Yeah.
Like the loss of my eyesight, like, relearning how to, being a computer person, like, and then having to think like, well, you have to do all this stuff different now. You can't use your computer the same way that you used to, like, and you lost half your eyesight. So now you're half blind, but now you're more blind. You're going to get more and more blind, and even though you have had a brain tumor removed, you didn't know you were going to get two more. So, because now I live with two brain tumors. I have two brain tumors in my head now. Most people don't live with brain tumors. So
Yeah.
it makes it very difficult, because it technically just means like for the rest of your life, you're going to be in basically, in treatment for the rest of your life because you can't like not treat it to make it not grow. And I had to accept that, I mean, but I do accept it. It's just, you know, getting 550 million, I say it like that, MRIs, and being okay with that, like,
Yeah.
because, somebody, you told somebody you've had like more than like 10 MRIs, are like, oh, yeah, it does some things to your body, but I mean, it's keeping me alive. So,
Yeah.
you know, I just accepted those things, and I've learned to accept, my loss of eyesight. I mean, I didn't think it was gonna happen when I turned 30,
Right.
but I mean, since I turned 30, I mean, I've literally had to relearn everything, to walk, talk, like pee, poop, like take my own baths and stuff, It's a big difference, but a lot of people don't even want to acknowledge that could happen to you.
Oh yeah, anyone
Could
at any
happen to
moment.
anybody. I mean, it literally happened to me like that. Like I was working in a jewelry store and I got sick because the diamonds were like literally like making me have like my light migraine.
Ugh.
And it was like it was so intense. It felt like someone was like literally like just stabbing me in the eye, like or just shooting me in the eye with like, the nail, like the nail gun,
Yeah.
like that's how it felt, like every single glare, like it was just ridiculous, and then I went and
And they
they found
finally
it,
found it.
a 3.8-ounce brain tumor.
Wow.
Had my whole left side of my brain pushed back my whole like life. So all that pain I'd felt, like that people always told me it was fake a lot, it was there. And now the like people that were really mean to me when I was growing up, like they feel really bad about it because they like
Right.
I always said I have a brain tumor. I said it all the time, and they were like, she said it all the time. And when I got to college, they were like, oh, it's just panic attacks, which was panic attacks I was having. But the panic attacks was coming from the epilepsy, actually. It wasn't actually coming from the migraines. It was coming from me having the seizures I was having, which was making me panic because I wasn't understanding what was happening when I was coming back in.
Yeah.
Like I was having those weird like hallucinations and they were fun and stuff, but I was like, what the heck was that? I didn't just trip on some acid. I was like, I was like, I was in college. Like I was like writing papers on Hunter S. Thompson because I was all about gonzo journalism. So like I was like, I was not tripping for Hunter S. Thompson right now. Like I told myself, you're not doing any of those things. And like, those things that I was doing to learn about Hunter S. Thompson and his use of drugs was actually what my doctor said was me trying to find something that would help alleviate the pain that I was feeling and experiencing from that tumor growing, because none of the stuff that I was given was helping it.
Yeah.
So I was looking for anything. And at that time when I was in college, it was drinking because it would make it me not see any of the stuff, but it downtrodden me because I wasn't being able to do anything, being drunk, like I was asleep, so like I was noticing all those things happen. And when, it took literally 15 years
That's a
to
long
grow
time.
of pain. And it was just, I accept the pain now, but I have more pain now. It's so funny. It's like they found it, they got it out, the first one out, but then 4 years later, my baby brother, uh, he decided to take himself away from here. He was very young. He's my youngest little brother,
Mm-hmm.
and he decided to take himself away. So it was just really hard having to lose
Yeah.
my youngest brother because I'd already lost a brother when I moved here in 2013 because he was murdered. And so I was just like in a miss. And then I found out that I had a second brain tumor. So then I was just like, what the crap? So
Like, when does it stop?
yeah, it's just like,
Yeah.
it was just really rough because it was like, I thought everything had gotten so much better. And I was enjoying being in Phame and stuff, but it was just like, dang, like, how is this happening to me right now? Like right now, I just turned 30. Like, why the heck is this happening? You know, like
Too young.
it was just it's much, and I guess it still hits me. It still hits me hard because I am bipolar, so like I do have to acknowledge that it does make it a little bit harder because I can't really like accept everything because there's no real way to. That's not gonna make me sad about it, you know. But I'm looking forward to just moving forward. Period. Because I mean, I could be dead. It could have killed me. Like that's all I have to remember about it is that my doctor said he said it could have exploded, you know, like, and that would have been it where it was at.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it made me have a stroke.
And that's what got my brother. Very similar story, actually. He was a soccer player and complained about knee pain. And they told him, "Oh, you're a soccer player. Of course you're gonna have knee pain." And then when he was 18, he got hit head on by a drunk driver and fractured his knee and fractured his pelvis. And it wasn't until that moment when they found the bone cancer. And had they investigated and actually believed him when he said, "I'm in pain," they would have probably found the bone cancer and he wouldn't have died when he was 18.
He's 18. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they just don't listen.
They don't.
They don't listen. And like, and then especially if you are doing well at something, they
Yeah.
definitely don't listen.
Yeah.
And a lot of people throw that out. They'll say, "Oh, that's not true." No, it really is. Like, it's just like, you know, you look down on the kids when they're on a special needs level. Well, you think that those kids on the higher level of special needs too, because they need different special needs. But you're looking at them as special needs that you don't have to deal with them because they can understand things on a higher level. So you don't have to acknowledge them for anything else. So you can ignore when they say that they're in pain.
Yeah.
Because it's not real. They wouldn't say that.
Well, and there is some racial component to that too, right?
Oh, I mean, heck yeah.
So like I did a lot of research into like the medical profession and the history of people and what they had to endure from the medical community. And there was actually in written documentation a belief that people who were black feel less pain. It was a medical belief. I'm like, how? And that wasn't that long ago.
Well, I mean, psychologically, it's not fake. It is real but that's just because of culture. Like
Right.
you have to know that's a cultural thing. Like it comes as an evolution tactic. Like it's not necessarily that it's anything. It's more psychological because it's a psychological evolution.
Yeah, 100%.
Because they had to learn that to move forward in a way. Now, did other things like neurologically happen? Yes, because of where the people come from. Neurological things happens to their bodies, so that's why certain things come from certain areas. Like people that are from Africa, they have those things, but it's also because of heat. Heat has a big impact on it, like the Aztec Indians and the Incans and stuff.
Okay.
Because of the heat. Think about all that. They were those are known as having more bipolar distinctions, but that's also with Native Americans. Also, they also are super bipolar and stuff because of the things that they've had to deal with. So, like, it has to do with like where they've lived,
Yeah.
and those things are because a lot of people don't know that a lot of psychological things are also neurological. So like those things have the impact on your body, and it comes usually from your culture because of where you've lived. So like you have these backspace, but that also becomes I only reason I know that is because I do have a minor in anthropology, in archaeology, so I had to learn all those things, and I taught that in college. So like just knowing those backgrounds, like you have all these different things that are on your life, like on you as a person, but it's also a cultural background that has a lot to do with your ancestry, that also has to do with your neurological things too, like your your psychology.
Yeah.
Because I mean, bipolar disorder is hereditary.
100%.
So it goes through your family. So I mean, if you found like one written thing about it and it says in your family, well, I'm sorry, that's in your family. That means people can get it at any time.
100%.
So I
Yeah.
mean, like when we found that out about ours, we did the ancestry when I was doing my anthropological, because I had a scholarship for anthropology. So like when I was doing it in college, I was working with Dr. Crook. He was a big, huge
Jason?
archaeologist. Dr. Crook, he rest his soul. He was amazing working with him. He's like huge. He taught me so much about learning about being Native American and black and white and like where I'm from. Like he was just saying, that had a big impact on your family because of where you were at in Georgia. They weren't giving those people anything. They weren't
At
giving
all.
them
Yeah.
any health care. They weren't giving them any help for medical reasons. And they were helping each other psychologically with like more of the Native American and the Native indigenous people's backgrounds as ways of combating those things, which was cool
Yeah.
because that gave a little bit more culture to the people, but not everybody understood that.
Yeah. I was not aware of that until just now.
Yeah, so it's just just being like a person like with a background with Native American, with white family, with black family,
Yeah.
like it's just like learning so much and just seeing how all those different aspects of your cultures, the different cultures come together. But you also, like I said, you have to look into the neurological aspects. I mean, there's so many things about being all those things in your life. It has a big impact on your health because you need to highlight those things. I mean, like the things I didn't learn about my dad. I didn't even learn a lot more about my dad because I didn't have interactions with him as many. Not that I didn't love my dad. It was he just wasn't
Just
my
wasn't.
he
Yeah.
wasn't there. Like, but when my dad, the older I got, when I got closer to him, I learned more stuff about like, oh wow, my dad's narcoleptic. I didn't know that he was a narcoleptic. Like that makes sense. Just some of the way I was trying to like, apply it to like the things I was feeling.
Yeah.
And then I found out, oh, my dad's bipolar one. Okay, well that's where it comes from. But then I already knew it was on both sides, so I'm at double whammy bipolar on both sides of my family. I was like, damn, like, why do I need that shit? I was like, why are they trying to like come at, as combative? But it was learning that from him, I'm glad I did learn it before he passed away because learning the things that my dad interacted with and like neurologically he felt those same pains and he had the same migraines and stuff. My
Yeah.
mom didn't. She didn't know what a migraine. When she said migraine, she goes, "What's that?" She says, "That's not real. Those aren't real." She didn't really acknowledge them until they said, "Yeah, she has migraines." Like and my mom's like, "Oh, okay." So she does. Yeah, she's like, "I thought those were fake. I thought they were fake. I don't believe them." But now I can just say, "Oh God, I got a migraine."
Yeah.
Like I can just say it. But it's kind of like what you were saying. People just kind of throw you off though when you say you have a migraine. Like, oh, you got a migraine. They just like they really just chump that off. Like, oh, you're just complaining.
Well,
Fool, a migraine hurts. Those
I,
things are so painful.
yeah, and that's what I was going to say is I don't think people understand the difference between a headache and a migraine because there's a huge difference.
Huge
Huge
difference.
difference. Like I've only had one migraine in my entire life, and I hope I never have to experience that ever again. Like it was huge. It was a result of a head injury, but I'll never forget how freaking excruciating it was. Just felt like everything was it was just horrible.
Horrible.
The most horrible experience I ever had was having that migraine.
And it doesn't get any better. Like a migraine gets worse before it ends. It's like it gets worse and worse and worse, and it's like tighter and tighter depending on because there's so many different kinds of migraines.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a light migraine, it's gonna get worse. It gets worse. It gets worse. It gets worse. The light gets worse. Well, any light, you need no light. You need complete darkness because one little bit like literally can make you and some people have strokes because it puts so much pressure on their body. It makes their body like go into so much stress and then they end up having strokes from those migraines. A lot of people don't even know that those things happen. And it's just like they just write them off. But now they are doing way better with migraines now than they
Yeah.
have ever. Thank goodness they give people medicines for them, and there's so many medications for them now.
Are there ones that are starting to actually work?
Yeah, yeah, but
That's
there's
awesome.
also a lot of natural things for migraines
Okay.
that people don't even know, like eating certain fruit. Like people don't even know eating. If you like kiwis are really good for migraines.
Oh, I had no idea.
I learned that. I just learned that when after I had the brain surgery.
Yeah.
So I was like, God, that's amazing. Just to know like something I love, is actually really good for it. Like, yeah, it helps soothe those. But then you have to watch, the way that you eat things,
Mhm.
and because that has differences with migraines, because there are certain foods that bring on migraines with people, but it's also backgrounds neurologically, because like I say, certain foods your family was not supposed to eat. My family wasn't supposed to eat like beets too much, even though my grandma's family ate beets.
Yeah.
Not on my dad's side. Like they actually had like a beet like uh allergy that was big, and my grandma fed me beets all the time, and I'd always break out. And she always said it was just like because it was too much of the red color. She was technically right and wrong. It was the red color was turning me red. But it
Okay.
was like it was turning me red in a bad way,
Yeah.
because it was like something about the sulfates and stuff in it was like killing me, and like it was making my like my eyes turn red. Like I was literally like it was too much of it. And it was just she wasn't even giving me a lot of it. So it was like what would have happened like when she was giving me enough, it was like the same amount if somebody had ate like thousands of beets or something like
Yeah.
the way it was having. So like I love the way that they tasted, but they made my tongue swell, like so she noticed that. And then they were like, yeah, she's allergic to that. And then I learned about a lot of vegetables, and I was like, God dang it, why am I allergic to these vegetables? I like these vegetables, like asparagus. I'm allergic to asparagus too. And I was like, God, but I learned it was just like, certain things your family ate them differently. That's what they told me, the nutritionist and stuff. She was like, it's just not something for your family.
Yeah.
It's where you lived. Your family didn't eat that, so they just evolved that way. And so I tried to make it so I could eat those things. I definitely had to stop. I definitely had to stop doing that. I just gotta laugh at it now. But I mean, God, beets taste so good to me. Most people don't even say that, and I
Yeah.
can't even eat them. So
I do want to back up for a second, though.
No, go ahead.
Because I think it's important for people to know what to do if they start experiencing a migraine for the first time. What would your advice be? Like, let's say somebody's walking down, like all of a sudden it's just they're having this migraine. What's the best place or best thing to do to sort of help when people experience that kind of thing?
I don't think that you would know that you had a migraine.
Okay.
Because they're so different. There's so many different ones. I mean, I just tell anyone if you're having a headache, you need to go to a doctor.
Yeah.
You need to tell your parent or your significant other if it, what, who, what, when, where, and why. But that's what your first thing has to do. You need to tell someone that you have that. I mean, if you can, give yourself Tylenol.
Okay.
Properly take some Tylenol or anything that is, for your body that you already know. If you're of age and you can do that, you can
Yeah.
take Tylenol, over the counter medicine. But you still got to go to the doctor. You need to tell somebody, because I mean, if you're having a migraine, they're gonna have to test you for it, because I mean, there's no way for you to know that you're having one until they know that you talk to them about it. Because I mean, there's all different kinds of headaches. So many different kinds of headaches. I mean, I was having pressure headaches,
Okay.
which are totally different from a migraine. I mean, I had those. Those were coming from the epilepsy. So, like me, I was having multiple kinds of headaches
All at the same time.
at the same time.
Oh.
So they didn't really know what was happening. And I also had tremors my whole life also. So I had been shaking with my hands since I was a little kid. So like when they they had tried writing me off as having Parkinson's disease when I was in high school. And my mom was like, my child does not have, she does have tremors, but she does not have Parkinson's disease. But
Yeah.
they would always say that every time they saw my hand shake. And then they would like, well, how does she play instruments? And how does she? And my mom's like, because I played softball also. They're like, well, whatever. Like, how could she do that if, with her tremors? And my mom's like, she's trained herself. Like, she had to, learn how to practice in a certain manner that taught her how to, fees by that, and so they just didn't like to acknowledge that those things were possible.
And you get kind of punished when you can figure out how to beat the system for your disability.
Oh yeah.
Like, so I have a back injury that I got from the military. And I remember doctors not believing me at the hard time because, like, I wouldn't present with certain symptoms. I'm like, well, that's because I do everything I can not to lift over 20 pounds. I do everything and I can not to put myself in positions where I know I'm going to be in excruciating pain for the next 5 days. So I look and present as somebody that's not in pain because I don't push the limits.
Right.
I used to. And it used to be a huge problem because I would never allow myself to just say no.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like,
Nope. No. I'm like, if I'm gonna be in pain, no.
yep. Mm-hmm.
Check, please.
Mm-hmm.
Goodbye. No more.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, it's hard though, because I guess before I didn't, like you said, you didn't. Now I just have to accept it, which sucks because lots of times I don't like it. But I mean, it's more so with my eyesight. That's my biggest downfall because everything I enjoyed, everything that I excelled at the most, it literally needed my eyesight. So that's my biggest impact of my life for the last 8 years is like trying to work my way around it. Cause I mean, I don't see, like I used to.
So
And
I do have a question. So, like, if you're out in the community and you have your cane, like, how do you want people to approach you?
Most of the time, I don't even carry my cane.
That's fair.
Because I can see out of one of my eyes. It's not that, I mean, I see great, but they look weird at me, like with the cane. So I don't like to carry my cane around, like, because I don't necessarily, I'm not like everybody else. Like, most people that carry their canes, like they were pretty much all the way blind.
Right.
I am blind, but I'm only half blind. So I'm blind in one eye full, but I can see out of my other eye. Even though I have I have triple bifocals. I mean, so technically, I mean, it's still, my eye needs help. But I don't like to carry the cane because, like, people look at me weird. Like, they already look at me weird with glasses on with the cane. Like, and then they're like, well, what does she need the cane for if she has glasses on for? Then I'm just like, having to explain, well, I'm blind in this eye, completely. So I can't see anything on the left side of my body. So, and then I don't know, this gets stupid. So I do carry it with me. You can see I have the one that you can fold up.
Yeah.
So if I do need it, I can just snap that thing and be like, shut the hell up. I could be like Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
Like,
I love it.
like Pulp Fiction. I mean, leave me alone, but I don't know. I mean, I think it's good to have my cane.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's better for me to have my cane, folding cane, and I think I've learned that from from the blindness, because she was saying, some people like you, that can see, they can and they can't see, they are still blind. I mean, I am blind. I'm legally blind. I mean, I have my cane. You don't get to have those. Those are given to you by the state. Like,
Right.
you have a number. Like, so if you have, like, if someone has a CNI cane, like, you'll see, like, you'll know if they have an actual CNI cane, it'll have red on it. A lot of people have fake ones.
What?
Because they don't have red. You see red at the bottom. You see mine has red. instead of bot. Like, so if they don't have that red on it, that means they got fake cane. Because even the ones that they give you, they all have red at the bottom. So like it has to have red, and then you'll know if somebody has a fake cane or not.
And I'm going to say this. I've said it once. I'll say it again. Leave judgment at the door, folks. Instead of being judgy, you see somebody with a cane, just assume they're having issues and leave them the F alone.
Yeah, leave them alone, because it's really kind of annoying. Like when somebody comes up to you, can you see? You have on glasses. I hate it when they say that to me. I'm like, oh my god.
Oh, that's right up there with when they tell me I don't look autistic. It's like, what does autistic look like?
Yeah, what does it look like?
Like, what am I supposed to look like?
Like, you need to watch Degrassi.
Right?
Because they did a great job teaching people about autism, and you need to do it. And if you want to learn about some DID, you need to watch the United States of Terra.
Okay.
Because that is an amazing show that they did, teaching people about DID.
Okay.
Because, I mean, Toni Collette, she rocked that.
And what's the name of that again?
The United States of Terra.
The United States of Terra.
Mm-hmm.
I'm adding that to my list in my Rolodex.
It's good. Toni Collette, she's an amazing actress, and I think she has 6 DIDs.
Okay.
Yeah, so she does an amazing job with that. It really taught me so much. And that show actually taught me a lot about, like, you know, having multiple personalities, you know, that you don't even want to acknowledge, Jeff.
Yeah.
Especially people that are bipolar, because I mean, technically you have like two personalities, because you're happy and you're sad, and you're either happy and you're sad, or you're not really ever happy.
Yeah.
And that's the sad thing about being bipolar to me, that is like you never really ever get to be happy. Like it's kind of like one of the worst diseases to me, you know, because like you don't. I mean, they're straight up with it, like that you have to be on the medication, because the only way you could actually find any kind of real happiness, and I say real like that, you know, like I mean, do you actually ever get any real happiness? You know, and that makes me think of that way about anybody that has certain, you know, disabilities, because I mean, you're outside of it, you know, because you can't, certain things you have to take kind of takes away from other things usually.
Yeah, and there'll be periods in time where I'll be happy and things will happen, and I'll be genuinely like in a good mood. But I'm one conversation away from that altering. And what I mean by that is, because I'm autistic, I'm always, you know, one comment away from saying the wrong thing. I'm one, like, you know, being misreading a social situation, and oh, there goes that friend for the rest of my life. And so that sort of carries over you like this thing over your head. It's like you're always, even you're happy, you're still walking on eggshells. And you're still have like this fear that it's all going to come crashing down because you're going to say the wrong thing at the wrong time. And it's just a matter of time.
Yeah. See, that's so hard. See, and when I went to school, I was telling you I was working with the autistic kids. That was one of the reasons why I enjoyed working with the autistic kids, because they said I was just my empathy. Like, it's just that I felt, I could just feel things. I don't know. I mean, I've always felt like that my whole time. I just don't like want to read someone's emotions. I want their emotions to lay on me. Like I want to feel what I see, or you know, and then I understand what you're going through, because I can see it, and I feel what you're doing. I see it, and I can acknowledge that. And will I help you? Yes, I will help you, but we're going to work for it on your manner, for your way, because that's the way we're going to get there, because that's going to make you feel better. And that's what a lot of people don't understand about people that are autistic. That's the way you're going to have to do it. You got to go on their manner.
You got to let them lead.
You got to do their lead. Because if not, you are putting yourself on them, and you don't mean to, but you got to understand every autistic person is different.
Yeah.
and you got to learn through that. And once you do, you will learn. And that's what I think a lot of people, they write it off, autism, because they don't want to accept that you've got to go someone else's realm. Like you
Yeah.
got to go someone else's way. Like it's not for you. It's for you to follow them and understand, and then you'll come to a different level. But not controlling people, because I think that's what they do. A lot of autistic people, they just control them. They try to tell them what to do instead of
It's a huge problem.
allowing the person to show them what they're experiencing, so you can come to an understanding that'll help them excel. Because those you can't take away from an autistic person. It doesn't go away. You've got to grow with it. You got to learn how to roll with it. Like you don't, it doesn't go away.
Oh, trust me, it took me a lot of work to get to this point.
You
A
know?
lot of work.
And people just write it off. They are like, oh, like this. And like when I was working with the students here in Portland, they would just throw those students to me because I had a background with it. Well, one thing was like made me mad because the other teachers in the program, like they didn't want to expect that they had to do that. Like they're special. What is that? What you write? Are you writing that child off as like they're just special? But because you don't understand how to interact with that child because of their autism. Oh, and then they would get even worse. It would piss me off even worse when it'd be an autistic child and she was a woman,
Oh yeah.
a female autistic.
Yeah.
They would just they write the women off, autistic women off like, oh, she ain't nothing but shit.
Yeah.
They just write you off like, oh, she gone. Like, and mostly it's because those women are on such a higher level that they can't get to them because they have like super ADHD. That's what most of the autistic women have. They get super ADHD, so it's like on like times 10. So you can't get them to a level. You got to figure out the way that gets them like to it. Because I mean, one of my students, she needed like 20 things to concentrate on, and if you had like those things, she would go like back to back to back to back to back.
Yeah.
It got her good, and she was focused. But if she didn't have that, she was gone. Like you couldn't do anything with her because it was her. She didn't have any balance. Her balance needed the 20 things, and she needed those 20 things every day. And they might have been different every day. It was whatever she had written down the day. And that's the way her parents were. They had things like that so she could learn different things every day because they figured that out, because they accepted it. Did those teachers accept it? No. They just wrote her off. And this gave her like we talk about those pieces of paper.
Yep.
Color it, Jade, color it. And it's pissed me off. I quit that job because I didn't like the way that they treated those autistic children at the school. And that school ended up getting in trouble about the way that they treated their special needs children, because they had a high autistic population in that school.
Yeah.
And they literally just gave them coloring pages the whole time.
And what message does that send to the students? That's the part that frustrates me the most, because that tells the students, who can process more than you think they can,
Exactly. They can process
that they're not
so
worth
much
anything.
that they're not worth anything. And the one little girl that made me quit, I ended up staying good friends with her mom and dad. She did really well in gymnastics. And so she was in Paralympics.
Oh, awesome.
For a little girl. And
Yeah.
they've never even paid any attention about it.
No.
And she won second place. And so she did really well. And then the next year that I worked there, she ended up doing swimming. She got first place in swimming. And that was before the Paralympics. Like, so she did all that, and they never even,
Yeah.
they didn't even acknowledge that she did those things. And like, they're like, oh, well, she actually, and then what I found out about her the reason why I left is that she has one of the highest grades in the classes.
Yeah.
but they never even let her go to regular classes until her parents pulled her out. And they took her in the homeschool, got her like actual. I mean, she was just on a higher level, and they just like throw those out. A lot of autistic students are on like high intellectual levels, and but you've got to be able to understand their autistic sequence, like where they at in their series,
100%.
And a lot of people don't take the time for that. And now they're getting better at it. They are actually putting more time into it. But the problem is, we've got those people that are using it too.
Yeah.
Like those people, oh, I found out I'm autistic. And then they're using it in that manner as like, oh, I'm autistic. Oh, I'm autistic. Oh, I'm autistic. Oh, you're using that in a negative manner and making it harder on other people that are learning about their autistic background, and you're making it harder for these other people that are coming into these and acknowledging this as an acceptance of themselves.
Yeah.
Where you're using it in a negative aspect, where you're just wanting to use it that way.
Which puzzles me, because like I don't know anybody, and I mean literally, I don't know anybody who's autistic that I've encountered with who would wish autism on somebody else.
Somebody else.
Like, so just the idea is, life is hard if you're autistic. Life is hard, and when you have people who sort of fake their way onto that, it rubs me the wrong way, because it's like I don't understand why.
This is like so many people you learn about that are autistic, and then like they kept, you wouldn't have known it because they used something else to like highlight it.
Oh yeah,
it's
I
like
was amazing at masking.
Yeah, because like we did the Phame, we did Stop Making Sense for, it was a tribute to the Talking Heads, and David Byrne, he's autistic. And so like, learning that about him, like one of his things, like his songs were about like basically like kind of like how I was understanding myself, like being bipolar, like I wrote songs and I like played my songs, and like that's one reason why jazz always said something to me, and why I love playing the guitar. I taught myself how to play the guitar. It was just like, it spoke something to me, and that was the thing about what David Byrne was saying, like no one ever listened to him, and he didn't, know that was what was wrong with him, was being autistic, but he knew that it was some way he needed to be able to fit in, and he had to show them, and it was through music. And that, to me, I totally understand that.
Yeah.
Because there's so many, if so many of these musicians, they're a lot of them are autistic, and that was what they used to combat those things. And it's just really pretty enlightening to me. I mean, like Cody Lee, he's a phenomenal autistic person. I mean, like he won, America's Got Talent, and he was like, he's blind. Not only is he blind, he's like super high range autistic, and he is phenomenal, like just phenomenal. And he's so accepting and so loving and everything, but was so misunderstood just because he was autistic. And when they heard autistic, they just threw him out, and that they also threw him out because he was a person of color.
Yeah.
And when he won America's Got Talent, they all just looked at him like, whoa, wow, he's autistic. They just kept saying it over and over. He's autistic. He's autistic. He's autistic. Like, wow, like that's what he is. I mean, he's brought a lot for this last like couple of years with Cody. He's definitely brought a lot of really positive things to like autistic, like people growing up, and being adults, especially in music. So I mean, I really like that. His mom, she was really highlighted because they were just writing him off in the schools for being a colored person and being autistic and blind. They just wrote him off, and he literally had higher test scores than everybody.
So let's circle back because we've been at this
Sorry.
for no, don't be sorry for anything. This has been an amazing conversation. Are you kidding? I love this. I just want to make sure that we cover some things about Phame because I think
Oh
I want to make sure
yes.
to include that piece.
Yeah.
Because I think I want people to understand when you're talking about Phame, it's not just music.
No,
There's
no.
so
So
many
much more to
things.
Phame. Phame we have we've got our dance. So we have ballet dancers. Like so they learn ballet. It's different. They teach everybody differently. We also have the improv. So we've got the improv students. We have vocal lessons. So we got the voice lessons. There's puppetry. There is iPad. I do the iPad ensemble, mixed ensemble. So it's called Chameleonica, which is our little band. So we play shows and everything. And then there's rock ensemble, which is the singing. So they do different songs, different medleys, and different performances all around town. Paid, some unpaid, but still, like
Yeah.
all around. So there's just so many things brought in. It's all about thinking about just mass communications, different ways of doing stuff like that. So I mean, we write plays. I mean, we just wrote a play with the Revels, which is another organization in Portland. I just got cast in that. I
That's
helped
awesome.
write it, and then I got cast in it. So that'll be coming up in this May. Is I think it's May.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's when the play is. So like, there's things like that. I mean, with at Phame that we wrote they had actually wrote the Poet's Shadow, which was it was the opera. So we did an opera, which was really cool. That was the first year I was in. It was the second year I was in that we did the opera. So that was really cool. So Phame did an opera. We do big, huge performances multiple times a year. So I mean, it's basically just to highlight yourself. I mean, you're being a huge. I mean,
Yeah.
you're going to be highlighted for something. I mean, and it's amazing because I mean, you get all these opportunities. And since I've started, now I'm on the board of directors. So I basically been working with the CDAC, which is the cultural diversity. So working with getting out and trying to bring more people into
Yeah.
Phame and just putting it out there, trying to bring some more people of color into the program at Phame. And just being, trying to make sure it sticks around. I mean, it's been around for 40 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
So if
40
people want to
years.
join Phame, right? So let's say they want to be a part of the act, they
Mhm.
want to be a part of like the performances. What's the best way to sort of get more information and sort of figure that part out?
And they can go to phame.org. It's Phame, and it's Phame, like fame. And on that site, I mean, it has everything. I mean, it tells you everything about the schools, and you can sign up and just send about us, and they'll contact you. So we'll contact and talk to everybody. They can also go to the Phame. Um, and that's on the website too. It gives you the address for it
Please check out a
on the
performance.
Phame.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's we have an Instagram, so it's Phame PDX on Instagram, and there's this on Facebook. So you can also contact us in just private messages and stuff. But I mean, pretty much, I mean, we have email addresses and like
Yeah.
on the page. So I mean, and the phone number, you can call us and contact us. I mean, pretty much anywhere you see Phame, you can call Phame basically, and they'll talk to you. And it's really easy because I mean, the Phame number goes to it. It'll tell you to just press 0 and it goes to somebody. So somebody will let you know. So because we invite everybody out,
Yeah.
and we have those Fametastics. We have those like every little like term,
Okay.
so people get to come and see what everyone's going. Because we just had our fall or winter term.
Okay.
So it was in December, but yeah. So I mean, everybody gets to see like the shows and stuff, and we always take donations. Any donation. I mean, this is a nonprofit organization.
Yep.
So I mean, we want to keep it going, and the only way that we can do that is with the support of the community. And we also take volunteers. If you have anything, like if it sounds interesting to you, like to see more people going out and like, I mean, singing. I mean, I hadn't sang in a long time, and I started back, and now all I've been doing for the last 5 years is solos and more things. So I mean, that opportunity is there.
Yeah.
So it's just an amazing opportunity just to know that there is an organization out there and that anybody can come and you can work in different ways. I mean, if you just wanted to work in that organization as a volunteer, or
And
and they have job openings too. So if you ever thought of something like this being, because they have internships sometimes too.
yeah.
So,
And if if you make that commitment to engage with Phame, please know you will be accepted there.
yeah. And we also have tuition assistance and stuff
Okay.
too. So if anyone ever thinks, oh well, I don't have any, believe me, I know I'm one of the people. I get tuition assistance. I need
Yeah.
it. But that's one reason like a lot of people would think that they couldn't do it, but you can do that. Like there's tuition assistance. And there's also like workshops. So if you don't know if you would like anything, you can come because they do have workshops like they're on Mondays, and you can come and see what's going on. So it's a lot of fun, like to come and just see all the different things because they let you come and do walkthroughs and
That's
stuff too.
awesome.
So I mean, it's the opportunities there, and it's great to know that it is.
Well, Andrea, we've been at this for almost an hour and a half. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I
This has been an
appreciate it.
amazing conversation. I really thank you. I can't express my gratitude enough.
But thank you, I appreciate it, and I just really enjoy that we're getting to highlight an organization and that's there to help different people in all different ways. Like you would never even expect that that was going to be something that an art school could do.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And in closing, be kind, people. Just be kind.